What's the difference between buying a bottle of wine from your large retailer or from a beautiful family-owned boutique winery in the Hunter Valley? Welcome to the podcast Wine Matters. I'm your host, Wendy Laureti, the accidental winery owner of Saddles Creek Wines. In this podcast, I invite you to join me as I share with you what I believe is the true meaning of loving wine, and that is to bring people together. I'm absolutely no wine expert, though I am a wine lover. I love to learn and explore all things wine, how it's made and how it is best enjoyed. What I've discovered along the way is the more I learn, is the more I enjoy and appreciate it. So I'd like to share with you what I've learned along the way, debuff some of the myths, but most importantly, I invite you along to learn with me. To support our learning, I'll be inviting way more knowledgeable people than myself to share their expertise, their love of wine, and why wine matters to them. I hope to introduce you to all the reasons to love wine and all the interesting and great people of the Hunter Valley and the greater wine community. So on that note, let's pour a glass of wine and talk Wine Matters. Cheers. Today in Wine Matters, I have our neighbour, Lewis Drayton from Ivanhoe Wines. Welcome, Lewis.
Hello, Wendy. Thank you. It's a pleasure to join you.
Thank you, love. What have we got in front of us? You've brought us two special wines.
I have. So I brought something a little bit exotic, a little bit different, unique. It's our 2022 Chambourcin Shiraz. So it's 70% Chambourcin, 30% Shiraz, about 15% alcohol. One of our best sellers since we've released it.
So how long have you been growing Chambourcin then?
We've had Chambourcin planted on our property since 1999.
Wow.
We planted it out the front of the cellar door. Really, really easy to grow as a varietal. It's very disease resistant. Grows like an absolute weed. No matter where you plant it, just takes off. And provided you keep watering it, it'll give you a really, really high yielding crop as well. So
that would have been a very alternate varietal back in 1999 to be planting in that Hunter Valley.
It was, yes. It was my parents' sort of vision as part of starting up Ivanhoe as their own business back then. They wanted to be known as the House of Red Wine and the business motto, Big Gutsy Reds.
Nice.
And as an alternate red varietal that's juicy yet not tannic was an alternative that Dad wanted to plant and pursue.
Oh, good on him, hey? Forward thinking.
Yeah.
So, Lewis, tell me a little bit about the Drayton family history of the Hunter Valley.
Yes. So we've been growing grapes and making wine for some time. It's almost at the point I'll probably say it's a family dynasty. So we are, as a family, celebrating 171 years.
That is amazing.
Year. So it's quite a long sort of heritage behind us. I'm the 6th generation to work and live in the Hunter, so I'm quite lucky that no pressure on my career path, but lucky I like working with grapes and talking about wine and pouring wine, because it's interesting how it's evolved as a family business, as a family brand into what it is today.
It's quite amazing, really. So do you feel, we were just talking a minute ago, but did you feel pressure that you would have to stay in the industry? Or
I was quite lucky from a young age. Mum and Dad always have pushed my brother and I, not necessarily out of the industry or out of the business, but encouraged us as young men coming up through the community and through the wine industry to always go and try something different.
Good.
So it was always, no matter what happens, the wine game will always be here. So you can always come back if plan A or plan B goes south, or if you end up realizing that that's what you want to do. So I've actually had 2 cracks at running away, and I've come back both times, and I'm quite satisfied now that the wine industry is an industry that I love, that I'm passionate about.
It's in your blood, love.
Yeah. It's Shiraz that comes out of my veins.
Yes,
it's not blood, but after trying out, I tried health science and went and studied to become a paramedic. So that was good fun. And then I went and worked in Sydney with the Rural Fire Service at their headquarters for a while. And it was just fantastic to have that time away, develop my skills, my experience, but then also to come back and get involved in the wine game again with those skills.
So I'm sitting here thinking, Lewis, about Ivanhoe Wines. Because Drayton is such a, like you just said, 170 years in the Hunter Valley. Why Ivanhoe? What was the decision? Where did this come from?
Where did the name come from?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a bit of an interesting story. And the sort of way to look back at it is we could actually go as far back as 1843, and even prior, which is when the original owners of the estate named the property Ivanhoe Wines. Simply because, I tell a lie, they named it Ivanhoe Estate.
Okay.
Because they had a massive passion and interest with Sir Walter Scott, the author, and he had a novel called Ivanhoe. And Ivanhoe being a knight of the Round Table, they named it. Hence a medieval sort of knight theming and whatnot. So when the original owners, they planted a bit of Shiraz on it, it developed a bit of reputation and gained momentum as some of the best Shiraz in the Hunter back then in the late 1800s and sort of early 1900s. So much so that the Drayton family acquired the property. I think it was around the 1940s that we took it over. And then we just built it up and planted a bit more Shiraz and a little bit of Cabernet. And then Mum and Dad took it over. And now we've turned it into what it is today.
And it's a beautiful winery. If you haven't been to Ivanhoe, Ivanhoe Wines, the view is like one of the most outstanding views I think I've ever seen. It's just such a beautiful vibe. So
it's a little bit of a stressful view to look at, being sarcastic with that one, but it's like you said, it's sort of our entire vineyard is planted up on the hillside. So as you're sitting in our cellar door, tasting the wines or enjoying the experience or meeting the team or meeting the family, you're essentially looking over our 80-acre estate and seeing where the fruits come from.
Yep.
Which is sort of one of our, I'd probably say, advantages to that, or sort of our involvement in the Hunter is having that, not just Hunter wines, but Hunter experiences with a view.
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful.
that's what that we really try to incorporate that with our sort of experiences. Is you're not coming to just drink, you're coming to relax and experience the whole Hunter Valley.
What's some of the biggest changes that you've noticed in the wine industry over your time, honey?
I think the biggest thing that I would say I've noticed would be the sense of collaboration between wineries and producers.
Yes.
So I would say when I first entered the wine game, I mean, I'm 25 now, and obviously you can't officially start working in a cellar until you're 18. Excuse me. But the main thing, even prior to that, I was in the cellar door as essentially you could call my role a dish pig. Yeah. Yeah, I'd clear tables, wash glasses, clean platters.
Where all the best of us start.
Exactly. And essentially back then when I was sort of first getting involved in the sales side of things, very, very competitive. It was a dog-eat-dog scenario. Don't visit that cellar door because of X, Y, Z, or don't go there because of
really?
ABCD. Whereas now it's very much a collaborative approach. So it's saying, look, okay, you want a Merlot. I don't have a Merlot, but here's where you can go. Or I don't have that, you can go here.
Yes.
And really trying to ensure that it's not so much about myself and sort of our family business making money, but more so about the guest having the best experience in the entire Hunter. So
and wanting to come back.
Yes. So they're experiencing it as a region as opposed to individual businesses.
That's right.
And I think that sort of shift, a paradoxical shift in that sort of attitude between producers has really helped drive the region forward over the last few years as a tourism destination, which is something that, in any industry, you'll have technological advancements and all those other sorts of things. But the biggest thing that I'd say I've noticed change in, let's say, the last 10 years has genuinely been that shift in attitude, which is awesome.
I love that. I'm very idealistic. So for me, and from my experience of only being, I've been here 10 years, coming up to 10 years, but I've always felt the positive connection in the community. And I've always felt that everyone's there to support each other.
Absolutely.
Everyone is very, like you said, collaborative. I can't even say the word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's just the way to move forward, isn't it, for the future of the wine industry and the future of the Hunter Valley is for us to work together. I always say, to my team, no one's coming up to Saddlers no one's coming up just to see Saddlers necessarily. They're coming up for a weekend and they want to feel a beautiful connection and a beautiful sense of belonging when they come here
Oh,
as
exactly right.
and they
Yeah.
just have a great experience. So yeah, definitely, and that, being family owned businesses as well. Like, I
And
think
that's one thing I'd probably say as well about the Hunter Valley and how it's advanced. I mean, when we first started, looking at the Hunter, or when I first started, I should say, from my experience in the wine industry, I think, approximately, and don't quote me on this one, but there was probably, say, 150 cellar doors in the Hunter, 10, 12 years ago. And now I believe there's upwards of 200. And a lot of those newer producers are small, boutique, family owned.
Yeah.
And that's essentially at the same time what the backbone of Australia's built on is hard work from families.
That's right.
And small family businesses. So it's really,
And
really
how many
exciting
families
to
we
see that.
support. I mean, I think that's one
Exactly.
of my biggest joys in being self-employed, is the fact that we do, sometimes I stand back and think we support, our business supports all these families around us. And I think that's just such a joy and a privilege to be able to do,
Absolutely.
which is amazing. So talking about, we opened up with talking about large retailers or large bottle-o versus a boutique wine. What do you think really is the essence of the difference in a boutique wine?
I think there's a number of different approaches with buying a boutique wine versus a mass-produced wine. So obviously the most obvious one is the price point. So if you're buying a mass-produced wine, you might be looking in that price range of, let's say, $15 to $25 thereabouts. Whereas buying a boutique wine, it might be just that little bit more expensive, say $30 to $45, maybe $50 on that sort of upper end of the spectrum. But it's not necessarily just about the cost of the wine, but it's the end result of where the money's going. So it's not going into some large corporation's pocket that's then going to be, following on from there and just continuing to produce mass wine.
That's it.
Give you that really bad headache the next morning.
Yes.
Whereas, say, if you're buying a bottle from a small family winery, you're helping support that family, whether it be their kids going through school or their family spending time together or enhancing their family business and sort of giving back to the community at the same time. It makes a bigger difference, not just from drinking a bottle of wine.
Yeah. I think one of the key things is as well, you get the opportunity to, when you talking to people about the wine, they know the wine. They've been involved in potentially making the wine, or they've rubbed shoulders with the winemaker. They can see the barrel that it was just in before. They can see the hand press. They can see the love. They can feel, I think, the love.
Absolutely.
The heart and soul that has gone into making that wine. I often compare it to a bit like a mass-produced cake, like going to buy a banana cake from a mass producer versus, my mum's gift to us on a birthday would be her handmade cake.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because there was time and effort and love
I think
put into it. And I think the other thing is you really know where it's come from. Like there's, we can tell the story from farm, grape, processing, winemaking to glass. Like we know where it's gone. And I think there's a lot of authenticity and relatability. Like we can talk through where this wine is. Whereas if it's large, like where did those grapes come from? Whereas, I think that's for me such an important part of it, that I know the wine, I understand it, and I know where it's come from. And I swear, it's like when people talk to plants and they grow better.
Exactly.
I feel like we talk to the wine, and so it tastes better. It's top quality. Is at the end of the day, I think I'm coming down to, because it's made with that love and passion. We have more control over the quality of the fruit coming in, what we accept, what we want to do. You look after. We've got a small vineyard compared to you, Lewis, but we can take care of it. You know what I mean? We can nurture it, and we're very hands-on. So I think it's the hands-on and the love and the heart and soul that goes into a family boutique wine that really brings it home, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think one of the other sort of points of that as well, with the approach of, you walk into your local bottle shop or your large retailer or your bottle-o or, whatever you might call it. But it can be quite sterile. It's quite a sterile experience. You don't know necessarily the wine you are buying. You are walking into the store, you look at the label, you go, that's great, looks
Yeah.
pretty, I'll buy that.
Yes.
When you walk into a small family winery or a family-owned boutique winery, especially if it's in the Hunter Valley, like I know I've come and seen you and your team at Sadler's and love hearing the stories behind it. There's more, I feel, romance involved
So
with
much.
that bottle of wine, because you're not just walking into a shelf, tapping your card, walking out. You're hearing the story about the label, the story of the vintage. You're quite likely to meet the family behind the wine
That's
as
it.
well.
I know.
And there's just so much more involved that when you get that bottle home and open it with your friends, you're then going to
Transporting yourself back to that
Exactly.
moment in time.
Exactly. And you've
Yeah.
got that moment to share with
Yeah.
your friends or your family and say, well, I went to Ivanhoe and I bought their Chambourcin Shiraz and Lewis was there and there was this about the grapes and this about the vintage. And it puts more perspective into what you're drinking.
That's it.
And I think at the end of the day, the consumer enjoys the sort of learning process of that.
Absolutely.
It's just a lot more involved in sharing that story as well.
Yeah. And I think that's what, talking about changes in the industry, I think they're way more accessible wineries these days. They're way more friendly. Like you can walk in and not feel like, oh, I don't know, where am I going?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get embarrassed or be asked a silly question. I don't know. Like for me, back in the earlier days, I used to just go, oh, wine tasting. There was just like a little bit of snobbery
Yes.
around it. I
would
used
agree.
to feel, but now I'm feeling, and it's something I work on all the time in our business, and I know you would do the same, Lewis, is just debuffing that and bring, like,
Yes.
come in, we're family. This is where, come and be part of the family, sit at the table with us, share a glass of wine.
Exactly.
Because that's what it's
And
about.
I mean,
it's about connection.
You
It's
guys do
about
that very well on a
sharing.
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday afternoon, I know that you and Frank, you're sort of working the floor, working the room, and making sure that the people from your community that are supporting your family business are just getting that, thanks so much.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all I find a consumer sort of enjoys is just going, oh my God, I met Wendy Laureti. Frank was there as well, and they really appreciated us having there.
Yeah.
Same with us, with our wine club members, when they come into our cellar door, they go, wow, I met Stephen Drayton, the owner.
Yeah.
How awesome was that?
It's exciting. We don't understand why, but it is.
Down at your local bottle shop, do you?
No, you don't.
No.
You don't at all.
Sort of go, it's down that aisle and turn to your left sort of thing.
Yeah. That's it. And what else in your business, love? So how are you approaching these next few years in the wine industry? What's your approach with your customers and your members, and what type of things have you got coming up?
So I think it's since COVID, it's become somewhat increasingly difficult to probably sort of engage with customers since we've all sort of flicked to that work from home, more digital age. We're all sort of switched on a lot more. So we've sort of shifted our focus a little bit from, as opposed to trying to get people to visit us as often, we're actually starting to go to them. So the big thing for us with our sort of members events and members engagement is, instead of doing events at our cellar door, we're now going to them.
Lovely.
So we've we trialed it last year. We did 3 events, massive hit.
Great.
So we're partnering with local restaurants.
Yep.
We tell our members that we're going there. We're promoting the restaurant. We're promoting us as a wine label as well. And we're really trying those sort of iconic food pairings.
Beautiful.
At places that people wouldn't normally visit.
Yes.
And our sort of flagship event that I know I'm really excited about, because it's a weekend in Sydney, it's a 3-hour harbour cruise, which we've never ever done before.
Oh, how lovely.
So I think that'll be a nice experience, plus a new sort of offering for our wine club members.
Fantastic.
And our general customers, I should say, as well. It's going to be open to everyone, which will be really, really cool.
Is it up and available to book now, or you have to stay tuned,
Stay tuned. So we have got a wait list that we're developing or started. I think it's already up to about 50 or 60 people.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And we'll sort of just go from there as to, once we launch it, I think I'll have about 100 tickets spare. So it's certainly going to be going to be slim pickings for tickets,
Fantastic.
which will be good.
So that people can jump on your website to join the wait list?
They can. They can drop us the line.
Ivanhoe.com.au?
It is.
Awesome.
ivanhoewines.com.au.
Wonderful. So, Lewis, I think I love that you're going to people, but I think still there's such a big opportunity for people to come up to the Hunter Valley as well.
Absolutely.
Visit us at our cellar door. Really speak to the experts in that. Like, our team are so passionate. They're amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And touch, feel, smell, have that full Hunter Valley winery experience, because there's nothing like the Hunter Valley. It's just such a beautiful space. And Lewis, you're absolutely right. There's a bigger and growing sense of we're all in it together, and we're all one. I know the winemakers share tips all the time.
Oh, big time.
Coming over, what are you doing? How are we doing it? And coaching and learning from each other. And I just love that. I think it's just such a fantastic vibe up here. So we welcome you all up to the Hunter Valley. We hope to see you at our cellar door. We're neighbours, so we're on the same road.
Yep.
So
We
like
say neighbours, but in the country that's 5 kilometres apart. So
it's not a walk, unfortunately. It's a little bit of a it is a couple of k's.
It is. I mean, you could do a tasting and you'd be sober by the time you get to the next
one.
That's
it.
That's okay.
So anyway, we look forward to. We hope everyone can come up to the Hunter Valley. We look forward to welcoming you.
It's only 2 hours. It's 2 hours from Sydney.
It's an hour 45 for me now.
An hour 45
with that
even better with the new tunnel. See, it's even more accessible for people.
Accessible.
The accommodation offerings as well, fantastic. The cellar door experiences are unique. The
restaurants up here are like top class. Like how you can. Yeah, it's fantastic. So lots of reasons to visit the Hunter Valley, not just to see 2 beautiful family-owned wineries like Ivanhoe and Sadler's, but lots of other reasons too. So we hope to see you soon. So Lewis, one final question, love. Why does wine matter to you?
I've been thinking about this because there's so many pathways or perspectives I could take, and I sort of come back to the quote that I love about wine, which is wine is sunlight held together by sugar and water. And a lot of people associate, sunlight with happiness. Isn't it lovely?
Yeah.
Isn't it lovely? I think it's a really sort of great quote that captures winemaking and viticulture in all of its essence. But the big thing for me is that wine brings people together.
It does.
It helps them enjoy each other's company. It helps them celebrate occasions or new beginnings. It's just such a wonderful sort of vessel for celebration, happiness, enjoyment.
It is.
When in moderation, I should add.
Of course, love.
When in moderation, that it just helps bring people together.
Absolutely.
And I think we could probably, most of us all agree on that in the wine industry, that all of our wine events, our soirees, what are they about?
Connection, bringing people together. Absolutely. I know definitely in our family, for us, when we have a cheers of a nighttime, it's really about being grateful for the food in front of us, for the family around the table, for the day ahead, the day behind, and we just cheers to that, and we just say thank you. Like, fantastic. So
beautiful.
Fantastic. Good on you. Wine matters.
Wine matters indeed.